So we've been getting a lot of questions about the pardons that have come down, both from President Biden and now from President Trump. And a lot of those questions center around what the practical application of these pardon decisions is. So quickly, there are three different categories of President Trump's pardons that he issued yesterday. The first is when he issued clemency or commuted sentences of individuals who had already been sentenced. There were certain individuals that rather than pardoning them, it appears he thought maybe that they did something wrong, so he just cut off their sentences. He gave them some mercy on the actual sentence, but they remained convicted of their crimes. A second category are people that he pardoned, people who had already been convicted, and he has said they're to be immediately released from prisons and they're to have their record wiped clean. They can say they've not been convicted because as a matter of law, that pardon wipes it off their record. It's like it never happened. There's a third category of people that he didn't pardon, but he ordered the Justice Department to end the prosecution with prejudice to the government. That's the legal way of saying he wanted it ended permanently and there's no chance to take it back. So in those cases, he didn't actually issue a pardon, which would imply some sort of wrongdoing, but recognizing that those people were not yet convicted, he said, we're going to stop prosecuting immediately. The president can do that as the head executive officer of the United States government. He has the power of prosecution in his person. He can decide on behalf of the federal government that he's not going to move forward with those prosecutions. The other two powers, that of commuting sentences or of granting pardons, are granted to him under Article 2 of the United States Constitution as part of his presidential powers. So, can a president pardon people as a blanket pardon? Some of the pardon language yesterday said he pardoned anyone for anything that happened in or near the Capitol on January 6th of 2021. That's incredibly broad language. Similarly, about a month ago, President Biden pardoned several people, including his son, saying they were pardoned for anything they had done over about an 11-year period. This set off a lot of alarm bells and concerns because that's very broad in language, but the short answer is there doesn't appear to be anything in the Constitution that keeps the president from issuing a broad blanket pardon to a person and saying anything they've ever done is fine. So some of this goes back to a question of what the founders thought they were putting into the Constitution. At English common law, did the king have a right to grant those sorts of plenary pardons? But at this point, most scholars agree that that is something that the president can do. The only way we'll ever find out with more clarity will be if someone challenges one of these pardons, and it's hard to know how that would happen. It would probably have to require the government prosecuting one of these people and this getting litigated up to a higher court. Otherwise, people don't have standing to challenge this. In other words, an average person, myself, you, somebody else, can't go sue the president and say, hey, you're not allowed to pardon that person. The courts are going to say, this isn't any of your business. So as a practical matter, the president's pardon power is not likely to be questioned for a very long time. And for now, these pardons will sort of act as a precedent, showing that presidents can act with very broad power in their scope of their executive duties.